When do people like to read newspaper? I think people tend to go to newspaper when they need to be informed regarding some issue. Probably they will do this in their free time since reading newspaper, although important, is not their basic necessity. So they will not prioritize reading newspaper. So probably in their free time, in the morning, in the evening when they do not have work to do. How important is how important is for people to have a choice of newspaper? Well, as much as we like to think that the newspapers are objective, I highly doubt they actually are objective. So um, it is preferably so that we have a good range of newspaper choice in our hand, in the tip of our hand, so that we will be able to inform ourselves with objective news. What does a good newspaper contain? Okay, so as I've mentioned before, the readers need to be fed with the truth, with the objective information that is going on in the field. And I think if a certain newspaper deliver that, then you can say that they are a decent newspaper. But aside from that, maybe to be able to appeal to mass readers, because what good being objective when you do not, when they do not have readers. Why do some people choose to read the newspaper on the internet rather than in newspaper? I think this is due to just the fact that times is changing. I mean, people tend to move from one thing to another, as we have done many times in other mediums. To mention some, music, movie, films. I mean, the format is changing. I think because people are moving on to the more convenient means of getting news rather than having to buy a physical newspaper, they instead just open their phone and browse on the internet. How is internet news different from the news you read in the newspaper? I would like to think that it's not that much different, because even though the format is different, the information shouldn't be you know, that far fetched. Probably in printed newspaper, you have some games such as crosswords, and if I'm not mistaken, they do have some like cartoons. I don't know what they are called, but yeah, and that those things are absent in the internet newspaper, but understandably so. Will internet news ever replace newspaper? Why or why not? Um, I think in the recent years, internet newspaper, internet internet news have really struck gold with the changing of the format. Not only in news but also in other fields. We are moving to the more convenient, as I've said before, um, ways to get our hands on anything. Newspaper news information is not the exception. So yes, I think at some point of time, internet will take over the newspaper, because they are just a lot cheaper to produce rather than having to print out a paper physical newspaper. We just have to publish it online.